Hey family, my name is Chris, I am your home gamer dad, and today I have a big crossover event for you as I talk about my favorite game of all time. Whether it be surviving through the streets of Raccoon City on the tabletop, blasting through hordes of monsters and other menaces in the video game, reading up on the comic book, reading the novelization, if there was ever a movie about this, hopefully it would be a lot better than the other garbage that's been out so far. No matter what it is, surviving the world of Resident Evil 2 is going to take some guts, some luck, and some strategy. And no matter how you play it in any form here, always remember, your mileage may vary. So yeah, Resident Evil 2 comes in all different flavors, as you can see. And this game has been with me for so long. You know, I played the OG one back when it first came out on the original PlayStation. I got, of course, the board game from Steamforged Games, collecting all of the expansions. I got the remake and everything, and I go through that, you know, at least once or twice a year. I go through at least some part of it. There is so much history here that 5 reasons generally isn't enough, but I am just going to stick with that anyway and try to kind of either mix the two together or specify whether I'm just going to talk about the board game or if I'm just talking about the video games. This video contains scenes of graphic violence and gore, so strap on in and let's dive into the world of survival horror and see what nightmares await us on the streets of Raccoon City. Number 1, for both the video game and the board game, this was the first survival horror video game and the first video game inspired board game I played. You generally remember your first, at least, you know, that's what people say anyway. For me, this will always be in my brain as the first experience I've had with this, you know, them in their various medias. So OG Resident Evil 2, I actually played before Resident Evil 1, and let me tell you, back then on the PlayStation 1, it was just called the PlayStation back then because there was no other systems. It was terrifying, absolutely terrifying for younger me. Compared to how things look nowadays, it's nowhere near as close. But I love playing. I love the tension. I love all the characters. I love the way that the story flowed. I love the combat system. I love that you couldn't just go into it guns a-blazing because you had limited ammunition and you had limited resources in order to be able to take on the various monsters that you come across. And let me tell you, the zombies in the game are bullet sponges. They will take down, you can fire one shot and it goes away, or you can unload an entire clip into it and it goes nowhere. So you had that crazy, I don't even want to call it a balance, because there are times when you just zombie after zombie, if you want to kill them, just for some reason don't want to go down. Then I found the board game when I got into the whole world of board games and everything. And as I played this, I realized, wow, there's a lot to this that's in here. Same thing with the zombies, for example. You go ahead and you fire off your handguns at it, and they may die. They most likely won't die. You can push them out of the way and everything, but they're still going to be there. The enemies are still going to be on the map to try and stop you. I saw on a board once that the handgun isn't so much for enemy elimination, but enemy management. You want to make sure to push them and get them out of the way so you can run forward and do what it is you got to do, which is awesome because that's what it's like in the video game. It's survival horror. You won't always have the things you need in order to be able to make it through. Sometimes running is the best answer. These were my firsts of pretty much my adventure into the world of survival horror, whether it be on the video game or the tabletop, and I absolutely love them. Let's focus on the board game for this one. Between all of its expansions, the board game follows the video game almost point for point. The downfall of that sentence is because of the expansions. You need to spend extra money in order to get the other things in order to make this game whole. There's an entire B files, I believe it's called here, where it goes through the B scenario of Resident Evil 2. That's where you encountered Mr. X back in the original game. as far as fighting the different forms of Birkin. You get like one here, Birkin G4, I believe it is, or G3, you fight here, but that's it. That's the only expansions you get. Otherwise, that G1's in here, G2, the final form, you know, all of these forms of Birkin you have to buy separately in order to be able to fight him during the campaign. Same thing for the flippin' alligator, which I talk about quite often. But all of that was available when the Kickstarter was around. And unfortunately, the alligator is the only thing that's not available now, which is really, really dumb. Steamforged Games, please make that available again. So this way I can have my full experience, you know, purchased and together, and I can do a game the way that it was meant to be. But then on the flip side of that, because it's a board game, you can play it however you want. I mean, you know, you're going to follow the rules and everything. You're going to take your turn. You know, you get 4 actions every turn. Actions involve moving, shooting your weapon, opening doors, shutting doors, picking up items, using items, exchanging items, things like that. And the base game comes with Claire, Leon, of course, because they're the main characters, and then Ada and Kendo. You can find other characters in other expansions. And then that's, you know, again, the fun thing about the board game where you can mix and match that together. That's where you can create your own unique experience with the game by going in and playing one scenario as Hunk, for example, or Sherry's an exclusive character who's really weird to play as. You'll even find the hidden bosses in various expansions, like Brad, for example, Zombie Brad. Depending on how you interact with him determines how things go. And you don't even have to follow that. Like, whenever I play this, I fight Zombie Brad in the beginning, regardless of anything. I'll pick up all the items I dang well please. You don't have to worry about that. I'm going to fight him regardless. And maybe I'll throw a first aid spray at him to make him human again, which is impossible in the game, but whatever. But that means I can play as him. Or I kill him, and I can access the alternate forms of Leon and Claire. My only real complaint with the board game is the setup. Whenever you go to a new scenario, you got to find all the pieces that you need in order to interlock the maps, in order to be able to find the right things you can do, in order to be able to make the scenario look the way it's supposed to look and everything. And it could take a while in order to do all that. That and the original tiles for Resident Evil 2 were very dark. So I saw a lot of people talk about that, you know, they couldn't see really much of the tiles, and some of the tiles, depending on how you have them laid out, don't make sense for the scenario. Like, you're inside the police station, but you have a burning car somewhere. That's completely off the wall. But you know what? To me, that's a minor thing. I look past that. I don't really care about any of that. I just love playing the game as is and using my imagination, using the theater of the mind as I have my minis on the table going through it all. However, I do have to say, if you are going to buy anything extremely extra for this besides the expansions, find the terrain pack. Those 3D models of the doors and the typewriters and everything, they are a must for this game. A must. Let's go on. For the video game, it was the first game I played multiple times in a row, memorizing all possible routes. And this is for the original version of the game, not the remake. I'm working my way through. I've had the remake since it first came out. I got it day one and everything. And since then, I have S+ scenarios on standard and hardcore for Leon A and Claire A, which for me is absolutely amazing. I love going through that and just finding all that out and everything. It is fantastic. And I will do the B scenarios eventually, as well as get my platinum trophy. But focusing on the original, I played that game so much that I could sit down and play it from start to finish in a few hours, no problems at all. Ask my friend Paul. So here we go, story time. You know, the game has been out for a few years. My friend Paul I met when I was working at KB Toys. I was the manager and I actually hired him. And, you know, he became a good friend and we hung out all the time. I still see him quite often. He's going to appear on this channel at some point. I know that. But I remember one day he came over to hang out and everything, and he never played Resident Evil 2. He really never played much in the way of horror games. So this was kind of new for him. And the thing about Paul is he might be, he doesn't do it anymore. But back then, you know, he could just be anywhere and just pass out for a few hours and then wake up and then be fine. We used to think he was a narcoleptic, but I'm pretty sure that was just what he did when he was younger for some reason. Anywho, he came over and I put on Resident Evil 2, started it up, brand new game, Leon A, and I was playing it and I was talking to him about it and everything, and maybe about 30 to 45 minutes into it, I realized that he wasn't talking back and he had passed out on the floor next to me. And okay, that's fine. So I decided, yeah, just let him sleep. So I just kept going. I went. He woke up. He looked at the TV and he's like, so what part are you at? And I'm like, that's the final boss. And thus I had beat the game while he slept. So that was probably one of the more interesting run-throughs I had of it. The game itself was perfectly fine. There was nothing too off the wall about when I played it. But having him just pass out for the entire game is absolutely crazy. Now, I'm not a speedrunner, as I said before. I really have no interest in like taking all my games and like burning through them as fast as I can and this, that, and the other thing. I have too much of an OCD when it comes to picking up stuff. I like picking up things, finding new items, upgrades, and things along that ways. I would prefer to spend the 15 minutes going out of my way to get a better item rather than just keep going with what I have and seeing where it takes me. But for some reason, in Resident Evil 2, I just wanted to just keep going and going and going. And every time I shaved off a little bit of time, I really only celebrated it when it was minutes. I'm not a speedrunner that celebrates seconds, but it was still a goal. It was still fun. And then, of course, the more you play the original, the faster you do, the more you unlock. You get Hunk, you get Tofu, all that fun stuff. And I'm still working on that for Resident Evil 2 Remake. I don't have the memory of this game in terms of getting through it as much as I do for this game, but I'll get there eventually. Either way, every time I play it, it's still a blast. Keeping with the video game, but going to the remake, Resident Evil 2 Remake, to me, is the perfect way to do a remake of a video game. Look, the entire purpose of this series is to tell you what my opinions of things are, to share my experiences, and to tell you that it's okay if you don't feel the same way. A lot of people don't feel the same way about the remakes. A lot of people don't like remakes in general. They feel like it's a cop-out for the various companies to just take an old idea and recycle it back. You know, where's the new stuff? Where's this, that, and the other thing? And then a lot of those people also, when they finally get something new, complain about it. It doesn't feel like the old one, which never made any sense to me. Anywho, Resident Evil 2 Remake, the way that they do this game, to me, is fantastic. You have all of the familiar settings of the game, the police station, the familiar puzzles, the sewers, the hive or whatever it is, you know, the final area of the game, the laboratories. You have all your familiar enemies in the game, all the different versions of Birkin, of course, the zombies, the lickers, Mr. X being in it. Even the alligator makes his appearance in this. So everything that you remember from the original is in here in one way, shape, or form, but they change it around. They add to it. They develop it more. Kendo's story in this is so heartbreaking and so sad, and you only meet him for a short amount of time. Adding stuff like that really is what I think a remake should be. You're taking the source material, you're honoring it, you're making it hold the same weight as the original did, but still adding new things in it, making it different. You know, the inventory system is different. Of course, the actual layout of the police station is different. The puzzles are different. You know, there's plenty of new in here where I remember the first time I ran through this, I'm like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. Oh, wow, that's new. Hey, that's really cool. Wow, that's expanded. You know, stuff like that. You know, walk into the STARS office, it's still the STARS office. It's still technically in the same place in the police department as it is here, but it just looks different, and there's new things in there, and you know, the liquor outside in this is just, it's just so cool. So yeah, play Resident Evil 2 Remake. I know that it's available, I believe, on pretty much all the Xbox and PlayStation, on the Game Passes and everything. It's going to be out for the Switch through, Cloud Play. Better than nothing, right? So it gives everybody a chance to play this and to actually see how awesome of a game it is. And if you've never played the original, definitely play the remake, but also try to play the original, because the original, even though it's not really scary and has like weird graphics nowadays, you know, in comparison, is still a great time and one that I will always go back to every year. It's been a birthday ritual of mine to at least play Resident Evil 2 for a little bit every year for the past, I don't even know how many years. So anyway, on to the last one. In both the board game and the video games, gruesome monsters, tense encounters, and new memories every time I play keep me coming back over and over again. To me, that's the mark of a great game. Something that I always want to go back and play multiple times over the course of years. It doesn't have to be within the course of a year. Like, I don't need to play Resident Evil 2 every year on any one of these, but just the fact that I know that I can and that I often do just reinforces to me how much I love this series and how much I appreciate everything within it. The character designs are absolutely fantastic across the board. The minis for Resident Evil 2, the board game, look spot on to their original counterparts, and even the remake characters, of the same, names of all the Birkin forms and everything, have the same personalities that you would fight in the game. The way that he fights have the same designs and everything. It's just slightly different here and there. It is absolutely amazing what the designers for both the games and the board game, for the video games and the board games, working, either they worked together or they took the notes in order to be able to really compare the two. It's beautiful. The whole thing is absolutely fantastic. It's gory, it's tense. You're going to go through here and the zombies will dive at you. You're going to go through here trying to I can get past this zombie, and you're going to fail a roll, or you're going to turn over a tension card and something's going to come at you. That is, to me, the knowledge that could happen at any time. And every time I play, can I do something better? Can I do something different and whatnot, will constantly bring me back to these games. And the fact that I have them all, even though I had the digital version of Resident Evil 2. I wish I'd continued to have my physical copy, but a lot of that stuff left my collection a long, long time ago. The fact that I still have the option to go back and play them make me happy, and something that I will be continuing to experience in my life and then in my children's lives, because I will introduce this to them eventually for years to come. There you have it, everybody. That's my big reasons why I love Resident Evil 2, no matter where it is across the spectrum. In fact, after I'm done recording this, I'm probably going to throw in Resident Evil 2 Remake just to play it, because I'm talking about it so much and I'm seeing everything and whatnot, and now I'm getting the urge to start to play it again. So you got to do what you got to do. I'm probably going to look through the book here and maybe restart. I got to restart this campaign anyway. I only got maybe 4 or 5 through the main one, and then I started playing something else, which is a habit of mine that I do, but that's okay. So now it is your turn. Let me know what you think of Resident Evil 2 as a whole. Is your experience more with the video game than it is with the board game? Board game with the video game? Do you play them both? Do you like them both? Do you not like one over the other? Let me know your stories down in the comments section below. I want to hear about your experiences, your journey through Raccoon City, the police department, and all the other areas of the game, and what you do in order to survive. Are you a speedrunner? Have you gotten S+ rank and everything? Have you unlocked everything here? Do you have all the pieces for this, or did you make them? There's just so many questions that I have for people when they say that they play this, that I just want to know it all, because I love the series so much, and I want to hear how other people talk about it as well. Thank you all so much. I always appreciate you guys hanging out with me and watching my videos and commenting down below. Let me know, again, what you think of the game. Have a very happy and safe Halloween. If you don't celebrate Halloween, just have a happy and safe life. For all I know, you could be watching this in June, so it's not even close to Halloween. Regardless of anything, always take care of yourselves and each other. We are family forever, gaming together, regardless of what media we have. My friends, enjoy your treats, have fun with your tricks, get a little spooky ooky, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.